Hey, what's going on everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and today I'm going to be showing you all, if you have a compatible PlayStation 2, how you can easily install FreeMCBoot on a memory card using the FreeDVDBoot recently released exploit. This makes getting into Homebrew on the PlayStation 2 easier and faster than we've ever seen before, and it's definitely going to be the preferred method going forward on installing this on a unmodified system. So if you don't have a mod chip, if you don't have access to free hard drive boot, FreeMCBoot, if you have a completely stock unmodified system, this would be the easiest way of doing this. So of course we're going to need a few things. We're going to need our PlayStation 2. We're also going to need a memory card, a USB drive, a computer to download and transfer a few files to the USB drive, and we're also going to need a blank DVD. Not a CD, not a dual layer blank DVD, just a regular single layer DVD, because we need to burn off an ISO that we're going to need in order to do this on our PlayStation 2. Now there's a few notes I want to mention for FreeMCBoot. 1. For your memory card, I would highly recommend using an official Sony memory card. That's going to give you the best compatibility. If you do not have a Sony memory card, you can use a third-party one as long as it has Magic Gate available on it. However, any kind of clone or bootleg memory cards, those really don't work very well for FreeMCBoot at all, in my experience, so I would not recommend using those. So if possible, use an official Sony 8MB memory card for this. The next thing is going to be the PlayStation 2 system itself. Every PlayStation 2 is capable of running FreeMCBoot unmodified, aside from the final revision of the Slims, which would be the 90,000 series. And you can find your model number by looking at the back of the PlayStation 2 or looking underneath it and looking at the sticker and finding the model number. If you have a PS2 Slim that is a 90,000 series console, you will not be able to continue on with this tutorial, unfortunately, because FreeMCBoot has been patched on that system. I will have another video showing a great alternative called Fortuna, which is not going to be as intuitive, I would say, as FreeMCBoot, but it still allows you to install some files on your memory card and then easily get your PlayStation 2 to boot up Homebrew and third-party code. I personally like FreeMCBoot more, but Fortuna is an excellent alternative. And finally, what about this method here, FreeDVDBoot? This does involve burning off a DVD, and the only thing with FreeDVDBoot is that it has to be ported to specific PlayStation 2 models and such, depending on the DVD player version they have. So if you want to find your DVD player version on your PlayStation 2, when you're at this screen, you can press the triangle button, and right here, look at DVD player and look at that version number. Mine is 3.11, and I know for a fact this will work just fine for our exploit here. However, this has not worked on all PlayStation 2s yet. This will be compatible with all PlayStation 2s, but it still needs to be ported over, and time will tell how long that's going to take and if that does happen for all models. But at this current moment, all Slims work, and this is being ported to more versions on the FAT. So you will need to get your DVD player version, and we can check it against a few compatibility lists. All the links for this are going to be down below in the description, but for the compatibility list, you can check right here, and even if you don't have your DVD player version on hand, like if you cannot fire up your PS2 currently, if you have it physically available, you can check the model number and then cross-reference it on here. So for example, I have a SCPH 77001, and here it shows that it should have a 3.11 version of the DVD player, which means that this does work just fine, thankfully. And I know that for a fact because I've tried this before. However, if you have a FAT system, for example, if you have a SCPH 50,001, for example, you might have one of these revisions here, so it's really going to differ. But as an example on here, we can look at this, and if you look at the DVD player, it shows that this is pending right here. So right now 3.04 is working for this, but on all these older DVD player versions, this still needs to get ported over at the current time of recording this. So another place you can check, and of course the first place we can start for the downloads here, would be the FreeDVDBoot GitHub repository. This right here has a great explanation of how to, of course, identify your DVD player version, as well as the current versions which are supported, which at the exact time of recording this are 3.11, 3.10, and 3.04 for those DVD player versions. So right here, you can just go to the pre-built ISOs folder, click it here, or click it up here in the repository. I'll just choose to click it here, and you need to pick the ISO that is required for your exact PlayStation 2. So this PlayStation 2 that I have has 3.11U, and the letter does not matter, thankfully, but since I have the 3.11 version, I'm going to need to download the 3.11 ISO. You can do this by clicking on your compatible ISO and click on download, and then save this download somewhere you can easily find it. It's also worth noting this currently only works for the English language on your PlayStation 2 to get into FreeDVDBoot, so if your PlayStation 2 is set to another language, make sure you set it to English before you do all this in the system menu. Now to burn off the ISO, I'd recommend, at least on Windows, using Image Burn. This is one of my favorite applications to use for burning off ISOs, and it seems to work pretty well. You can just click on download now, it will download the exe, and you can install it on your PC easily enough. Now for our actual FreeMCBoot downloads. For the FreeMCBoot installer, again, links will be down below in the description, but you can check out the FreeMCBoot installer here, and there's a couple of versions that are available. First of all, if you have a unmodified PS2, it does not have a mod chip in it, or if you don't know that it has a mod chip or not, if you don't really know what I'm talking about, you can just download the latest version here. It's 1.966. However, if you know that your PlayStation 2 has a mod chip, this version is known to have some issues with compatibility and might not work with it. So it would be recommended to use this version down here, which is FreeMCBoot version 1.965 for mod chips. These versions can of course change by the time you're watching this video, but just keep this in mind right here. Since I know my PlayStation 2 I'm going to be using as an example has a mod chip, I'm going to be using this version right here, which you can just click on and download. I'm also going to show you how to install and set up an application on FreeMCBoot, which the first one here, which this will be the only one I'm going to show, but this would be the application you want, at least to start off with, would be OPL, or Open PlayStation 2 Loader. This thread is going to have all the latest daily builds, and if you come down here, you can just download the latest daily build you choose to get. I'm going to choose to get this one, for example, and if you click on this zip, it's going to bring you here where you'll find more information, and since we're going to be putting it on the memory card and we are kind of strapped for space, I would recommend getting the compressed version, not the uncompressed version. The uncompressed version is if you're going to run it off a USB drive, but if you want to copy it to your memory card, use the compressed zip, and just click on this, download it, save it somewhere you can find it. If you need something to extract these and you can't extract the FreeMCBoot file, for example, you're probably going to need to download and install 7-zip, which the link for this will be down below in the description with everything else. Alright, so for whichever FreeMCBoot install you have chosen, you can simply right click and extract it into its own folder, which I'm going to do here. And for OPL, you can just extract it right here and it will create its own folder. To set up our USB drive, you simply need to grab any type of USB drive and it needs to be formatted to FAT32. So you can check this by right clicking it and clicking on properties. And as you can see, my file system is already FAT32. But let's say you need to format this. To format this, it's pretty easy. You just need to make sure you back up all data you care about off the USB drive, because this is going to erase it all. And then you can right click, format. Here, your file system needs to be FAT32. Allocation size can be default. Quick format is fine. Hit start, OK. And it should be formatted. that's about all we need. Now, if you do your right click format and you're using a USB drive which is way too big and you do not have FAT32 available as an option, there is another alternative software you can use for this. There's a few different methods of doing this, but I'll show you the one I use here on Windows. I use this application called FAT32 Format or GUI Format. Link for this will be down below with everything else, and you can just click on this image right here, which will download an exe wherever you save it to. When you have your GUI format, just go ahead and close out of any File Explorer windows you have, but make note of the USB drive. So mine is H, and you can double click here. It is going to ask for administrator rights, say yes. And then right here, you can just pick whichever USB drive you want to format. So mine is H, and allocation size, just keep it to whatever default it is. Quick format, start, OK. And after a few seconds, it should be able to format it. And that's about it. So now that we've formatted our USB drive, let's get all the files transferred over. In here, just in the root, you can go into your FreeMCBoot installer, and here you should get a folder a little something like this. And inside of this folder, you're going to have your install and everything else. This is going to be the main thing we need, the FreeMCBoot installer itself. But regardless, you can just come back here, copy out this folder with the FMCB install and such, and paste it right here. Just to make it a little bit easier to find as well, I'll just change that to FMCB. I can actually just change all this back here. That's fine. That'll work out just fine. And now for our OPL, you can double click here, and we're going to need this file right here, this ELF file. And if you're not seeing the extensions on these, on Windows, you can go to View and tick File Name Extensions, so that way you could see everything. Now mine are going to show up regardless either way, but once you have this set up, you can just grab the OPN ps2ld.elf file, whichever the ELF file is going to be, copy it out, and on the root of our USB drive, we can just paste it like that. So the USB drive is completely prepared at this point. We can now come back out of here, right click, safely eject your USB drive, and remove it from your PC. Now the next thing we need to do is burn off this ISO right here, or whichever ISO you have picked. So for this, you can open up Image Burn and click on Write Image File to Disk. And now make sure you have selected your DVD drive, you've put in a blank DVD, and then click on here to browse for the ISO file and select it. Once this is all selected, I'd recommend looking at the supported write speeds, and you're going to want to write at the slowest speed possible for your DVD drive. So this is 6x for example, so I would pick 6x. I just need one copy, and then click on this button to burn off the ISO. Now I've already burned an ISO of this, so I'm not going to reburn it, but this should take no more than a few minutes, and then the ISO should be burned. Once your disk is ready, you're going to want to take your disk, take your memory card, take your USB drive, and pop them all into your PlayStation 2. Alright, so once you fire up your PS2, again make sure your USB drive and your memory card are plugged in, and you can pop in your DVD at any time. Just to show you all the manual process, this can work on boot as well, you can pop it in, restart your PS2, but to show you the manual process, I'm just going to pop it in here, go to the browser, and you all will be able to see that my disk is recognizing as a DVD video. So to launch it, it's going to look a little something like this. And after a few seconds, as you can see, we are now running Homebrew on our PS2 in the form of ULaunch ELF. So once you're here, you can press the circle button to enter the file browser. Now go down to Mass and press the circle button yet again. And now we are in our USB drive. So here, go down to FMCB, open up that folder by pressing circle, go down to FMCB installer.elf and press circle on this to launch the installer. Now once this menu comes up, you can install FreeMCBoot. So you can either do a regular installation or a multi-install, whichever you want to do on here. It's pretty self-explanatory. This is for this one specific system. This one is going to be for all consoles, as you can see. So I'm going to just do a regular installation here by pressing the X button. And now it's going to warn me this will be installed onto the memory card in slot 1. If I want to continue, press yes. And now you can also check this as well, where if you want to do a normal install or a cross-regional install, meaning this will work on any region PS2, or if you want to do a cross-model install, this will work on different models of the PlayStation 2. Again, I'm just going to do a normal installation on here, but picking any of these is up to you. So once you select this, press X. And now at this point, you just have to wait a few seconds for it to finish installing. Now it will say installation complete, in which you can press OK. And let's go ahead and exit out of here. So come down here, press X, and OK to exit. Now when you come back out to the browser, it should show you this, in which you can physically remove your DVD because you're no longer going to need that, but you just need your memory card plugged in, and if you press the back button and wait a few seconds, your main menu should look different, and if it does, congratulations, you have successfully installed FreeMCBoot. It was as easy as that. Now let's get into installing an application here, or copying it to the memory card. So for this, as you can see from here, we have our regular browser and system configuration, but we also have ulaunch elf, which is technically our application here. We can launch a disk, reload the configuration, and we have the FreeMCBoot configurator. So first, let's go into ulaunch elf, which you can just press X to launch this. Once this launches here, press the circle button. Now go down again to mass, press circle, go down to OPN PS2 LD, whichever your OPL elf file is, highlight it, press the R1 button, and then press circle on copy. Now you want to come back up here to the 2 dots and the slash, press circle to go back, come all the way up to MC0, press circle. Now go into the boot directory, press circle, and while you're highlighting the 2 dots and the slash, press the R1 button and press circle on paste. And this is now going to copy over the OPL application, so you do not need this on your USB drive anymore. It's just going to be right there on the memory card. Now once that's all done, press the 2 dots and the slash up top. We're going to come back up here again, and we can now exit. So just press the select button to exit out of here, and now we can restart the PS2, so just hit the reset button to restart it. At this point, you can also remove your USB drive because you're not going to need it when the system is booting up here, but as you can see, it's going to look about the same, except we do have OPL on here, but we need to configure it. So for our last step, you can come down here to FreeMCBoot configurator and press X. Select whichever layout you want to use. I'm going to press X for X as OK and circle as cancel. Now come down here to configure OSD sys options. And then inside of here, we need to configure our items. So ulaunch elf, you want to leave that. ESR, HD loader, simple media system. These are just some of the common applications that are put on here. Now I'm going to be replacing HD loader because I'm not going to use HD loader, we're going to have that be OPL. So for this, you can highlight whichever option you want to pick on here. Again, mine's going to be HD loader, go into here, and for the name, you want to press X, and here we are going to erase this, and you can just call it whatever you want. So I'm going to call mine OPL, just nothing too fancy on here. Once you've named it, press OK. And now for this, you need to set your paths. So for this, we can simply press the circle button to clear this, press the circle button on these two to clear as well, and then select path 1 and hit the square button. And for this, you want to go into MC0, boot, and select your Open PS2 Loader elf, press X on this, and now that means whichever slot we put our memory card in, this will map it to OPL. So once that's all done, we can go to return, press X, go all the way down to return, and now go to save CNF to MC0 if this is put into the first memory card slot. So now it has been saved. We can exit out of here. And we're back at the browser. So let's go ahead and press the circle button to go back. And if you come right here, check it out. We now have a new application right here, which is OPL for us. And you can even come in here and launch it. So now that you know how to copy over and set up and map a application, and this works for any of the other ELF applications you want, that's as easy as that. And I'm going to demonstrate for you just for this last part how OPL works, just very basically here. This isn't going to be a full OPL tutorial. I'm actually going to have a full tutorial showing how to run games off a USB drive, but just as this example, I'm going to show you real quick how this works. So I'm going to go into OPL. Now after a few seconds it launched, and I'm going to put in another USB drive which I have configured outside of this video just for myself here. I'm just going to go into my settings and just setting a few things here. That's all fine. USB mode, I'm going to do my USB games, and that's all I want to change right now just because I want to show you all this. So once you've changed whatever you want to do, you can save your configuration. So now with these all saved, I'm going to go to my games list, and as you can see right here, these are games that I have on another USB drive that I popped in that I'm now running off of OPL, or at least have displayed on here. So just as a final rundown, let me show you all how fast and quick this would be in a realistic scenario if you want to go from power off to in-game. So when your PS2 comes up, you can just go to OPL or whichever application you want to launch. Give it a few seconds, of course, to launch. Again, I have my pre-configured USB drive already popped in here. And at this point, I can pick whichever game I want to play, so for this I'll go ahead and pick Dirge of Cerberus Final Fantasy VII, why not? Now I did cut out some of the loading and such just because it's not really needed to show, and plus it's going to take longer to load off of USB. I will fully admit playing off of USB is the worst way to play a PS2 game on the PS2 just due to it being slower, but mind you, this is more just as a demonstration and example right here. If you do want a full OPL USB PS2 game tutorial, I do have one available on the channel here, which I'll have linked in the description. So either way, that's about all there is to it. So that's how you can install FreeMCBoot, how you can set up an application such as OPL, and it was as easy as that. So there we go, that is about it for this tutorial, you all. Hopefully it was easy to set up here, and I can certainly say on a unmodified PS2, even though this one's technically modded, this is the easiest method I have found, without doubt the easiest method of installing FreeMCBoot on your memory card. Yes, you can technically use FreeDVDBoot if you want to, but that's just kind of cumbersome to have the DVD in there and going through that every single time you want to do this. So the nice way is we can use this as a entry point, so using FreeDVDBoot to use as an entry point to install FreeMCBoot, thanks to us being able to utilize Homebrew and such on here. Anyways, that is about it for this tutorial. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Hopefully it was easy enough. This is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this tutorial, a like would absolutely be appreciated. And if you didn't like it, a dislike is fine as well too.